All right. So now that you know the purpose, who is eligible, what funds are available, and how you can and cannot spend the funds, let's talk about the application itself. The application is available on the NDE Grants Management System website, also known as GMS. The link is in section 3.5 of the RFA. Users who have never had access to GMS will need to request access by contacting nde.clsd at nebraska.gov, and I can help you get started on that process. Before we dive into this application, I really want to highlight that I do not expect any applicant to be a GMS expert. That is my job. It is my job to understand the system. It is not your job to be an expert. So if you're struggling along the way, please reach out. I'm here as your tech assist if you need help with navigating GMS. I am going to kind of walk you through the process as if I was an applicant myself. So I'm hoping that this webinar will be helpful to you as you fill out your application. But again, if you're struggling with the system and navigating it, please, I encourage you to reach out and I'm happy to help. I won't be able to tell you if the information that you're putting in is good enough for scoring. But if it's an actual issue with the action of the system or using the system, I'm happy to help you. Okay. First, you're going to log into GMS. And as you can see, the notice of funding availability has been posted on the login page. Super exciting, makes us feel official. Once you've logged in, you'll click GMS Access/Select. You want to make sure that you have Select Fiscal Year 2025. And then if you scroll down the page, you'll find the competitive grant NE CLSD 6301, and you'll have to click Create. I understand this slide is a little overwhelming. It's a lot of information, it's a lot of screen grabs in one go. So, again, if you need to schedule a 5-minute Zoom, and you can screen share and I can help you click the right buttons to get you into the right application. So once you've created your application, once you go in the second time, it will come up under your list and you'll just have to hit open, and you'll just continue to hit open as you're working on it. And as you can see with that screen grab, this application has not yet been submitted. So you can go into it multiple times before you actually click submit. Okay, so you've logged in, you've created an application, we're in the application. I'm going to walk through the tabs left to right, again, as if I was applying myself. So starting with the Overview tab, it is just as it sounds, a brief overview or summary of the grant application, just please give that a read to make sure you are in the right place. If it doesn't sound like the CLSD grant, it might not be the CLSD grant, but we also do have the application title at the top left of the screen. So that's just that confirmation that you're in the right place as well. The next is the Allocations tab. That's going to be blank for now. This tab is auto-populated when or if you are awarded the money, so you can just ignore that tab for now. The next tab is Contact Information. I will first need your Unique Entity Identifier, aka UEI, and its expiration date. This can be found on sam.gov. If anyone is struggling with finding this information, please contact me at nde.clsd@nebraska.gov and I will help you. An active UEI is a federal requirement for anyone receiving a federal award. So I have to have it. I'm sure you have one, so we can find it together if you're struggling. I will also need the authorized representative for this application. This is the same person who will have to officially submit the application. And anyone else, though, that's listed, project director, financial contact, additional contact, These people can all assist in filling out the application itself, but it will be the authorized representative who must approve the assurances and sign off on the assurances and then actually submit the application itself. I'd also like to highlight on this page that it asks for the zip code plus 4 digits. That's due to federal reporting requirements. That's something for me on my end. I can find those plus 4 digits, so you don't need to stress. Just put in your standard 5 digit zip code. It is not going to error out on you. I can get your plus 4 digits. However, if you have it, that's great. You can include it, but don't worry. Don't let that freak you out. Also, you'll see at the bottom of each of these tabs, I'm going to say it like 20 or 30 more times, hit save. Always hit save. If you don't hit save, guess what? It doesn't save. So hit save so that you save yourself some time in the long run. Next tab is the literacy leadership team. So on this tab, the first thing you're going to do is answer the top question. Are you applying as a sole applicant or as a consortium? If you're applying as a consortium, you'll click yes, and then another box will pop up and they'll ask how many are in your consortium. On this tab, you'll need to upload 2 different document types. So you'll have the eligible entity literacy leadership team and the literacy comprehensive needs assessment, also known as the L-CNA. These fillable documents can be found on the NDE CLSD website, but if you click that blue link there, on your GMS screen, it will directly take you to the website to download these forms. If you're still struggling to access these forms, please contact me. I'm happy to send them directly to you. And the next few slides will kind of dive into the forms themselves and how to fill them out. Again, if anyone's having any issues on this page, reach out and we will help find you a solution. All right. So we can kind of talk about these forms a little bit more now. In section 4.2, applicant program information, project staff and participants, there's also, you can read more about it in the actual RFA in that section, or you can look at the visual of the forms in Appendix E and F. For the application in GMS, let's talk about a sole applicant versus a consortium. So if there's a sole applicant, I would expect to see 1 literacy leadership team fillable form and 1 L-CNA fillable form uploaded into GMS, as they are the only applicant. In the event of a consortium, the number you enter in the box for that first question is the number of literacy leadership teams and L-CNAs I should see. For an example, if an ESU is applying on behalf of 10 districts, I would expect to see 10 literacy leadership teams and 10 L-CNAs uploaded into GMS. So that literacy team and the L-CNA have a relationship. You'd see one of each of those for each participating district. If you're applying as a consortium and you're still feeling uncertain about this process, again, please contact us. We're happy to help bring clarity to your application. We also have another example on there too, a public or private nonprofit organization or agency on behalf of the eight early childhood education centers. We'd see 8 literacy leadership teams and 8 L-CNAs. Okay, here is Appendix E, the literacy leadership team, and this is that fillable form that you'll be including into GMS. We should, like I've said in the past few slides, we should see 1 of these for any district and or early childhood education program participating in the grant. For simplicity purposes, I'll be discussing this form as if I'm a district filling it out. I would have the district name, the applicant's UEI. If you're struggling to find this, again, contact me. I will assist. They will then need a literacy team for each district and or entity. So this would typically include a minimum of 2 members. I just need to know who to contact at each participating district in regards to reporting or monitoring, and what role they'll play in the grant activities. So we just want to know who's on board with this project at each entity. If, we went in, they would know what I'm talking about, CLSD grant, how's it going? And it wouldn't be a shock to their system. For the students served, I'll need to know the total number of students served by age group for the grant. So if you are a district, but you are only applying for the kindergarten to grade 5 age band, that is the only number I need. Again, only fill out the numbers of the students that will be participating in the grant and include the total. This will help determine what tier you fit in for funding. If it's a consortium, we will add up the total students from each participating entity. For simple math, 500 students at 10 participating districts, that would be 5,000. Therefore, you fit into tier 3, which would be up to $2.2 million over the 5-year period. For the students served by subgroup, again, this is only applicable to the students being served by the grant. If you are only applying to kindergarten to grade 5 age band, we only need the subgroup data for that age band. The box to the right is where you can include any other relevant information, formative and/or summative achievement data for these subgroups to demonstrate their needs. Please include what you can and know that the NDE has the right to request additional documentation to confirm these subgroup totals. The last question is just an additional reminder that this entity will need to complete an L-CNA because these two things have a relationship. In summary, we're asking who is participating, what the contacts are for this participant, and what age bands they will be serving to determine their tier, and finally, the subgroup totals, which will be taken into consideration for the evaluation section. Okay, the next fillable form that will be needed for the GMS application is going to be the Literacy Comprehensive Needs Assessment, also known as the L-CNA. I'd like to highlight that a needs assessment is a requirement of the federal grant subaward application, and it essentially then it's required that we incorporate the needs of these grantees into the competitive process. Therefore, we have the L-CNA. So we've incorporated the L-CNA as part of the application, and this is supposed to be used as a tool for the districts to review their current literacy programs and practices aligned to the NE MTSS frameworks for essential elements and the Equest a Comprehensive Needs Assessment 2.0. So this, again, is a tool. This is for you to self-evaluate your current literacy status and determine what gaps and needs you have in your own literacy plan. And then as part of your application, when you answer your questions, you will be showing us how you intend to fill those gaps that you address on your L-CNA. So again, this is a tool. We'll have you update the L-CNA every year for the awarded applicants, and we look forward to seeing the growth. The L-CNA is not going to be scored as part of your application. I'd like to highlight, though, we will be reading them and looking where you've addressed your gaps, and then making sure that as part of your program information questionnaire, you are addressing those gaps and filling those needs in order to, make improvements to your overall literacy plan. Again, let's talk about the why. So it fulfills the federal CLSD needs assessment requirement for eligible entities. So we're in compliance by having the L-CNA. Again, it helps districts identify their greatest areas of need, which should inform the application. Again, this is a tool. And then it provides an essential updated tool from the 2011 Nebraska State Literacy Plan. Okay, let's talk about who should be filling this out. Eligible entities applying for funds through the Nebraska CLSD program by a team of educators most knowledgeable about the system's literacy programs and practices. They should not be on the shoulders of one person and one person alone. In order to make a genuine impact, we feel that this needs to be a team effort. So rely on your team. We would expect that your literacy leadership team, the 2 members that are minimum of 2 members, would at least be involved in the L-CNA. But lean on your ESUs, lean on your partners, find who best fits each section of the needs assessment and do the best that you can to fill it out. Here is a list of some examples of supporting evidence. We'd like to highlight that districts are not required to provide evidence for every indicator. Just in the areas that are needed to support their overall application. We can, NDE does have the right to ask for more if we feel we need some more supporting evidence, but we'll come to you and ask you for that. Just again, this is a tool for you all to use, and we look forward to seeing the improvements over time. If you have any more questions in regards to the L-CNA, please reach out, and we're happy to discuss them further. Okay, back to GMS. Okay. We are now on the Program Informations tab, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit with the L-CNA. So you fill out your needs assessment, you discover your gaps, and as you answer these questions, this is kind of where we're going to hope that you're filling those gaps through your activities. So this tab has 4 subtabs, 1 subtab for each age band, and a staff page. As an applicant, you'll need to go into each age band and answer the first question. Will you serve this age band? If you mark yes, more questions will generate. If you answer no, the questions will remain hidden. So what is the best way to answer these questions? What about a consortium? Here's what we're looking for in your response. You've taken time to complete your L-CNA and you have identified key areas for growth. As you respond to these questions, we want to see how you're intentionally addressing those areas through your planned activities. Be sure to connect your efforts not only to your specific needs, but also to our NDE long-term goals, demonstrating how your actions will support and advance our shared vision. We understand that in a consortium situation, different districts may have different areas of need. We have provided an optional supplementary information document that you can use to provide additional details or clarifications you believe will strengthen or enhance your application if you run out of room in GMS. As you can see, there is a character count limit. And if you are going to exceed that, this is where that document can come into play. Where you'll upload that document is we're going to back up just 1 tab to the literacy leadership team, and where you're uploading your L-CNAs and your leadership teams, those documents, you can include that document there. I will have the luxury of going through every single application, and I will ensure that your optional supplementary information document gets included into your program information section for the evaluation portion. Reach out if you have any more questions on that. Yes, so like I stated, you'll go into each 3 subtabs, declare if you are serving or if you're not serving, and then you'll need to answer each question based on what subtab or which age groups you have applied for. All right, the 4th subtab for program information is going to be the staff page. If you do not plan to pay on any staff or offer any stipends, you can just leave this section blank. If you, but it also must be blank in your budget narrative, budget detail, and budget summary. So if there's no staff here, we wouldn't expect to see any staff anywhere else. We're looking for consistency. But if you do plan on having staff or compensate staff to provide stipends, we ask you to please complete this section for each individual being paid. For stipends, you must simply insert the word stipend in place of the staff name, and then you'll also have the FTE be 0 for that. I've left the estimated amount blank, but you'll have to fill that out as part of your application. These amounts should also be reflected in the budget narrative, the budget detail, and the program budget summary for consistency. Just so you're all aware, any staff members being paid, time and effort log will be required. We'll kind of go through those details a little bit closer or in more detail once we have our awardees. We'll have like a second webinar for those awardees to kind of go over the expectations of the monitoring of that.